The Atlanta Braves have been back in the international market for years now, but they've yet to really hit big on the position player side of things there. Is there a reason for that? We'll discuss it on today's episode of Locked On Braves, so let's get into it.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on social media at @shortstopball. Check out the podcast there at LockedOn_Braves on X, Locked On Braves on Instagram. If you're new and you're watching this on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Join the over almost 15,000 subscribers right now on YouTube. Make sure you leave me a comment below as well. Several of you just leaving a comment on the last podcast just to help out the algorithm, and I really do appreciate that. Hit the thumbs up button as well. That brings others in to our Locked On Braves community. And on the audio side of things, where we still get the majority of our listeners, you can help as well. Just leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much for all your support here of a Locked On Braves, for making us your first listen of each and every day, even in a season like this. Although we're back, what a fun weekend it was. We talked about that on yesterday's episode. Maybe the Atlanta Braves are back. Either way, it's a lot more fun to watch them win than whatever else they were doing the rest of the season. Today's episode, we're going to be looking at the farm system today. We typically do on Monday. We look at our minor league spotlight at each level. There's some good performances. Might be one of the few weeks, if not the only week this year, where the offense, the position player side of things, outshine the pitching, although the pitching was still really good, but the offense was pretty good this past week as well down on the farm system. We're going to spend a lot of our time talking about the international market. I've had some questions lately about the Braves' lack of hits in the international market, particularly on the position player side of things, and if that's why the Atlanta Braves have had to kind of shift their focus in the draft, because they haven't been able to get it done in the international market. And we'll preview the upcoming Mets series. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now. So I had this question come up, and I forget where it was, forget who it was. Sorry about that. But I've had not just one, I've had several people ask me about the Braves' lack of hits in the international market, particularly on the position player side of things. They've actually had some pretty nice hits on the pitching side of things, which kind of leads you to the question is it the scouting? Is it the development? Because we know the Braves are great at developing pitching, and they've still had some top hitters come through. I mean, you can look in the recent years like a Drake Baldwin, and even, a Nacho and Vaughn Grissom that have gotten to the big league level kind of out of nowhere, Michael Harris. They have certainly hit on the hitting side of things too. There's just not that depth there. And it was thought when the Braves got back into the international market in 2021 that you would start to see an influx of position player prospects start to come up the ranks and create some of that depth on the position player side of things. And it hasn't really happened to this point. And it's, kind of led the Braves to having to shift their philosophy, at least in the last draft, at the top half of it anyway, and going position player heavy. Now, maybe it was just the way that the draft happened to pan out that they went position player heavy early on. But I do think it's also a little bit of a response to where the system is right now, and that they haven't hit on some of these international prospects that were supposed to create that depth in the system. And we're going to take a look at the last few classes since 2021 when the Braves got back into the international side of things, when they would actually spend a little bit of money, and talk about where some of those players are now and some of the ones that maybe they missed on. So the 2021 class, the first time the Braves were able to spend big again, and they went on and got Ambioris Tavares that year. He was the big signing, really the only big signing for the Braves in that class, and thought to be a bat first prospect with power. And it's just funny to see now it's really a defensive led player. I mean, the defense was there for Tavares. If the bat developed anything like what was thought to happen when he was signed, he might be in the big leagues, or at least knocking on the door. But the bat has really held him back. The glove looks fantastic at shortstop. He's still just 21, and we got to keep that in mind when we're evaluating some of these signing classes, that most of these guys are still 21, 22, or younger. So there's still a lot of development left to be made with these guys. Tavares, 21 at high A, where he's hitting just .213 and striking out 35% of the time with an .072 ISO. Believe it or not, that strikeout rate has gotten better. It used to be around 40%, and he's got it down to 35%, but still just some major hit issues with Tavares, who, again, the glove is there. If he could ever just come around with the bat, he'd be one of the top prospects in the Braves system. Now, the toast of the 2021 class right now might actually be a pitcher. Giancarlo Lara was part of that. The Braves were able to snag him for $10,000. And like I said, the Braves haven't had many issues developing pitching prospects. Most of their top international prospects over the last 4 or 5 years have been on the pitching side of things, led by Giancarlo Lara. Now, some top prospects from that class, just to give you an idea of where some of the top prospects from 2021 are at this point. You had Yoelqui Cespedes. He was a top prospect in that class. He's up to AAA. Pedro Leon made his debut in 2024, but most of the players in the top 10 from that class are still in A-ball, which is where Tavares is right now. Jackson Chourio looking like the best player from that class. He's already obviously up with the Brewers, already signed a big contract with the Brewers. He was a 16th ranked prospect. There's maybe 2 other names from that class that you might have heard of if you're really into prospects, but just not a lot. And I point that out to say that, one, it takes a long time. When you sign these international prospects, you're looking at a 4 or 5 year window for them to potentially be something. Also pointing it out because it's very, very rare that you hit. And to me, it feels like with international prospects, it's either you hit big or you get nothing. There doesn't seem to be a lot of in between. But I mean, you look at this list, Cespedes still hasn't made it to the big leagues. I say still, I mean, obviously young, but Pedro Leon, you got 1 player who's made a debut, Jackson Chourio. And I was just looking at MLB Pipeline's top 30 prospect list, which was just the top 30 in 2021. They since expanded it to top 50, but not a lot there. When you consider the class and consider the low hit rate as it stands for international prospects. Now, you look at the 2022 class, Diego Benitez was the big signing there. He's still 20 at the FCL level, where he's hitting .214, but has a 353, a 535 or 553 on base would be pretty spectacular, but a 353 on base with 17 walks and 26 strikeouts and 126 at bats. He did get a look at single A in 2024, but struck out 54 times and 131 at bats. And then Douglas Glob was also a big signing from that class too. He's also just 20, but seeing some success with a 124 WRC plus at Augusta this year, thanks to a 16.1% walk rate and a 146 ISO 140s, generally league average at the big league level. But it does come with a 34% strikeout rate. And just on the surface, haven't watched a lot of Douglas Glob. Feels like a 3 true outcomes type of player, the type of player that the Braves, for a while have been targeting. And you wonder if that philosophy is going to change too. The most notable name from that class is looking like, again, a pitcher in Didier Fuentes. Like your Figueroa, he's up to single A as well from this class, slashing .245, .324, .330 with a 99 WRC plus. Just a couple other top prospects from that class. A couple of White Sox prospects move pretty fast, and William Bergola, who's at AA, and Oscar Colas at MLB level, but he's also already 26. Most guys are still at A-ball. Nelson Rada of the Angels is up to AAA, but the Angels move players faster than the Braves do. There aren't too many standouts from that class. In 2023, Luis Guanipa was the big signing in that class for the Braves, $2.5 million. He's 19, up to single A for the second straight year, slashing .253, .311 with a 90 WRC plus and 103 at bats with a 6.8% walk rate, 12.6% strikeout rate, but an .064 ISO. John Hill might be have one of the best hit tools of any of the international prospect signings so far. He currently has a 104 WRC plus at Augusta at 19 years old, with 51 stolen bases in 78 games and has nearly as many walks to strikeouts. And then again, another pitcher, Jeremy Reyes from that class, really good arm as well from that international signing period for the Atlanta Braves. 2024, it was Jose Perdomo was the jewel of that class. He was injured in 2024, really got his first long extended look this year, and it was a struggle at the FCL level. Quite disappointing there. Juan Espinal from that class signed for the second most. He has an 847 OPS and 42 DSL games with 5 home runs and 19 stolen bases. So you're seeing some of the good there. Obviously 2025, too early to really call anything. Diego Torrens looks fantastic. The big signing of that class might be the best international prospect they've signed yet, but we've still only seen him at the DSL level, and it seems like he's dealing with an injury right now. But there are some positives, whether it be Douglas Claw, whether it be John Hill, whether it be, Luis Guanipa. I think even him, coming around a little bit, would like to see a little bit more power there, but he has been injured some. But it's just with these international prospects, you're signing these kids and you're making handshake deals when they're, 13, 14, 15 years old, trying to project what they're going to be when they're grown men. I've talked about it a lot. This system needs to be overhauled. It feels sketchy the way that things are done now, and I hope eventually they do get to an international draft or at least some better system for how these players are signed. But either way, I mean, teams still do it. There's teams that are good at it. I asked Google AI who is the best at signing international prospects. It mentioned 3 teams. It mentioned the Yankees, it mentioned the Giants, and it mentioned the Atlanta Braves as teams that were consistently recognized for their strong international scouting and player development systems. And again, I think it's probably too early to judge a lot of these classes for the Atlanta Braves, as we're just now starting to see some of these guys get up to full season ball. But I think it's more so standing out because Ambioris Tavares didn't hit. Luis Guanipa, at least at this point, hasn't hit the way that you wanted to. Diego Benitez. Some of the top names from each of these classes haven't really hit the way that you wanted to. A Jose Perdomo. I mean, some of the biggest signings from the classes, the only one that's really at this point put up the numbers you would hope to see from your top prospect in the class is Diego Torrens, and that's only at the DSL level. So I think, one, we got to give it a little bit more time. One, I think we as fans have to realize that many people call these international prospects lottery tickets for a reason. You are buying them at 14, 15, 16, hoping that they develop into a stud. And some players you can see that are just already more physically developed, like a Diego Torrens, like a Jason Dominguez. You can already see what they're going to be. Some kids just grow faster than others. But many of these guys, you are just having to try to project and hope that they grow into a future stud. And so the hit rates on these are already very low. And you look at the Braves' top 30 prospects, according to MLB Pipeline, they have 7 players that were signed as international prospects by the Braves. There's a couple other international prospects in there that were signed by other teams, but they have 7 that they signed as international prospects in their top 30 right now. 3 of them are pitchers, and really only one of the position players has done anything of note so far, being Diego Torrens. So again, I think we probably just need to be a little bit more patient with some of these, especially the last 2 classes, but you'd certainly love to start seeing some of these players from 21, 22, 23 start infiltrating the higher levels where you were hoping they would be at this point to give you that influx of position player prospects that we just haven't really seen yet. Don't get me wrong. There haven't been good hits, even minor hits, to fill up the AA and high A levels at this point. But I still think that the Braves do a good job of scouting. And I think there probably isn't maybe some issue on the development side of things with position players where they're just not as good as they are on the pitching side. But that's more so just a credit to how great they are on the pitching side of things. All right, next we'll get into our weekly minor league spotlight. Well, we'll see some of those standout prospects, including on the international side of things. We'll get into all of that here next. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is money left on the table. Think about the last time you had a service emergency, like a burst pipe. If the first plumber didn't answer, did you wait around? Maybe wait, they'll call you back. It'll be okay. That water won't leak too bad. Nope, you call the next one. It's exactly what I would do. That's why having a reliable business line is so important. And that's why you need OpenPhone. OpenPhone is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or computer. Do you juggle 2 phones to keep business and personal calls separate? OpenPhone solves that instantly. Your whole team can share one number and respond to customers like a shared inbox. No more asking who's handling this call. And the AI agent handles after-hour calls, answering common questions that captures leads so you never miss a customer again. Open Phone is offering Locked On Braves listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone, no missed calls, no missed customers. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. You want to take a flyer on one of your favorite Falcons like Bijan Robinson to win the MVP, you can certainly do that, or parlay your division winner dark horses. Don't take advice from me here on the NFL. I got no idea, but I know that Mahomes guy is in the Super Bowl pretty much every year, so that might be a good one right there to pick. But again, I know nothing about the NFL. I can't help you there, but maybe you can over at FanDuel. Also, make sure you visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Thank you, as always, making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Make sure you check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day. Solely keep you caught up on everything happening around in Major League Baseball. The guys from MLB Game Night do a fantastic job keeping you up to date with the biggest highlights from each and every night as well, for teams that are actually still in a postseason hunt. So make sure you check things out there on Locked On MLB. We'll obviously have 3 more podcasts here for you this week. Tomorrow, we're going to take a look at the starting rotation for 2026. Looking ahead, who's healthy, who's going to be there, what does the rotation look like, maybe where they need to fill some holes. We'll talk about the game from Tuesday as well. And then later in the week on Friday, we'll have your weekly mailbag episode. So get your questions ready to submit there. All right, let's jump back into this podcast, though. We'll do our weekly minor league spotlight segment. We're going to start at Gwinnett, where Carlos Rodriguez went 6 for 23 with a home run and 2 walks. A little surprised that Carlos didn't get an opportunity here, but I think that Eli White was swinging the bat well earlier in the year before Ronald came back, and then he started hot. Once Ronald went down, I think he just kind of rode things out with Eli White, and it sounds like Ronald's close to coming back. So Carlos might have missed another opportunity here. Not that I think he's anything special, but he's had a pretty decent season and is already on the 40-man roster. Connor Capel, 5 for 17 with a double, a home run, a walk, and a stolen base. And Matthew Batten, 4 for 16 with a double, a home run, and 1 stolen base. Giancarlo Lara on the pitching side. 2 outings last week, one as a reliever, one as a starter, as it looks like they're stretching him back out to be a starter. On August 5th, went 3 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, no earned, 6 strikeouts. And then on August 10th, as a starter, 4 innings, 2 hits, did walk 4, no earned, and 6 strikeouts. And if I remember correctly, in that second outing, really struggled with command early on, walked 2 or 3 batters, but then settled down after that and looked really, really good. He hasn't allowed a run in over a month. And I'm curious if the Braves were still in it, if they would have given him a shot in the bullpen with how good he has looked over the last month plus. Nathan Wiles went 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, no earned, and 9 strikeouts. Jackson Stevens, 5 innings, 4 hits, no walks, 1 earned, 6 strikeouts. Feels like if there's another guy that you just want to give another opportunity to at the big league level, and you don't want to use one of your youngsters like J.R. Ritchie, who went 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 3 earned, 2 home runs, and 5 strikeouts last week. If you don't want to go with a Ritchie or any of your other young starters, Jackson Stevens might not be the worst option to give another start to here at the end of the season. Dane Dunning had a good start, though. Maybe he gets another opportunity. He goes 5 innings, allows just 1 hit, no walks, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. And then Hayden Harris just getting it done out there, waiting on that call. 2 innings, no hits, no walks, no earned, and 3 strikeouts. At Columbus, Patrick Cloisy went 9 for 23 with a double, a home run, 2 walks, and 3 stolen bases. It's a big week there for Patrick. Drew Compton, 6 for 15, a double, a triple, and a walk. Kevin Kilpatrick, 6 for 12 with a double, a triple, and a walk. Lisandro Espinosa, 4 for 16, 2 home runs, 2 walks, and a stolen base. That might be the best list of offensive performances I've ever given from Columbus, Mississippi. It's not a very offensive league. But that's a very good week there for the Columbus Clingstones. And I still, when I'm looking up stats for the Braves AA team, I am constantly typing in Mississippi Braves. Even for Rome, where we're going to go next, or here in just a minute, I still type in a Rome and Braves. Here now the Rome Emperors. Just keep it all consistent. Everybody Braves up and down. I'll be happy. But on the pitching side at Columbus, Lucas Braun, 4 innings, 2 hits, did walk 4, no earned runs, though, and 8 strikeouts. Brett Sears with a really good outing, going 6 innings, 3 hits, no walks, no earned, and 8 strikeouts. Ellison Joseph, 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, no earned, and 6 strikeouts. Could be another bullpen option down the road. And then Landon Harper got MILB Pitcher of the Week after throwing a 7-inning complete game shutout, 1 hit allowed, no walks, no earned, obviously, and 4 strikeouts. At Rome, which are now the Emperors, not the Braves, Colby Jones, 10 for 28, a double, 2 walks, and 4 stolen bases. Logan Braunschweig, the newly drafted player out of UAB, goes 6 for 13 with a triple and 2 walks. Isaiah Drake picks up 6 hits, including a double, a walk, and 2 stolen bases. And then on the bad side, Alex Lodis, 2 for 17, did have a double, but no walks to 8 strikeouts. And so far in his professional career, no walks and 11 strikeouts in 26 at-bats. Not great for a guy coming out of college, considered to be an advanced hitter, playing the ACC. Again, it's 26 at-bats, but not great plate discipline right there from Alex Lodis. They did start him at high A, but after a couple of really good games to begin, Lodis starting to struggle a little bit professionally. On the pitching side at Rome, David Rodriguez, two games this past week, 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, no earned, and 7 strikeouts. Owen Murphy, picks up right where he left off. 5 innings, no hits, 1 walk, did hit a batter, but no earned, and 5 strikeouts. Eric Hernandez, 6 innings, 2 hits, 4 walks, no earned, and 4 strikeouts. And Jacob Kroger, 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, and 3 strikeouts. A lot of walks for Rome pitchers last week. Not sure what was going on there, but just thought I would point that out. Almost every pitcher I looked at Rome last week walked at least 3 or 4 guys in their outing. At Augusta, another great performances on the hitting side of things. Owen Carey, 9 for 19, 2 doubles and a stolen base. John Hill, 7 for 18, a double, 2 home runs, 8 runs batted in, and a stolen base. They had a little bit of power there from Hill. Eric Hartman, 7 for 16 with 2 doubles and 2 walks. Cody Miller, 5 for 12, a double and a stolen base. If he just continues to stay red hot at Augusta, I've got to think they move him up to Rome to at least see what he can do there to end the year, but off to a really good start for him. Another newly drafted player, Dixon Williams, goes 4 for 11 with a walk this past week. And then on the pitching side at Augusta, Cam Caminiti, 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 walks, 1 earned, 8 strikeouts. Samuel Mejia, 4 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, no earned, 6 strikeouts. Kendi Richards, 6 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, no earned, 5 strikeouts. Jackson Danley, 3 innings, no hits, 1 walk, no earned, 4 Ks. And then Ethan Bagwell, 6 innings, 5 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned, 3 strikeouts. So still plenty of great pitching performances, but there was a lot of good offense this past week as well from the position player side of things. And then finally, at the DSL level, Emmanuel Campos, 8 for 17 with 2 doubles, a home run, 2 walks, and 2 stolen bases. Juan Espinal, 3 for 14 with a double, a homer, 3 walks, and 3 stolen bases. Angel Carmona, 5 for 18 with a double, a home run, 3 walks, and 2 stolen bases. And Gabriel Sessa, 4 for 10 with 4 walks. And Arlen Manzanillo, 4 for 11 with 3 doubles and 2 walks. And on the pitching side, Eduardo Hidalgo, 3 innings, 6 strikeouts. Daniel Matos, 5 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, no earned, and 8 strikeouts on Monday. Melvin Hidalgo, 3 innings, a hit, 2 walks, no earned, and 5 strikeouts. Diego Torrens still not playing, hasn't played in a game since July 28th. And Roddy Reyes did not pitch this week. His last outing was on August 4th. His best outing so far, 4 innings, just 1 hit, and 6 strikeouts. So some good stuff happening there at the Dominican level. We've already seen the Martinez kid moved from the DSL over to the FCL this year and have a really good showing. So you're starting to see some of those international prospects really start to break through. All right, next we'll get into the Mets series, preview a Mets team that's down right now. Can the Braves continue to try to ruin their season? We'll talk about that here next. Today's episode brought to you by Game Day Hue. And so that's why the hat that I'm wearing here today is from Game Day Hue. For the Locked On Braves fans like me, this one absolutely hits the mark. Game Day Hue makes clean, no logo gear with team-inspired colorways for every pro and college fan base. It's all about letting your colors speak for you. No giant logos, just smart, versatile style that works on game day, on the course, or anywhere in between. The hat pairs perfectly with my usual gear. It doesn't replace my team's logo stuff. It just adds to the lineup. It's the kind of hat that reps your team without screaming it. It's subtle, but it still says everything that it needs to, and that's why I like wearing this hat right now. I can wear it on Friday with my Friday Red Brave stuff, and it matches just perfectly, and everybody knows who I'm repping. And it's not just the hats, you got their split shade gloves as well, made for the golf course, or the perfect gift for the fan who has everything. Right now you can get 15% off with code MLB15 at GameDayHue.com. That's GameDayHue.com. The code even stacks on bundle deals, so now is the time to load up. Let your colors talk, because colors speak louder than words. That's GameDayHue.com, code MLB15. Again, GameDayHue.com, code MLB15 for 15% off. The Atlanta Braves will be heading up to New York, begin a series with them on Tuesday. Me and Lindsay will be on the postcast covering that one for you. And the Braves got a chance here to play a spoiler. Look, we don't have much to get excited about the rest of the way, much to cheer for in these games, other than just hoping our guys can get on track and have some good vibes going into next year, which I think is important. But you also got a chance to play some spoiler here against your rivals. The Mets are reeling right now. They just got swept by the Red Hot Brewers, as the Braves also did last week. A couple of tough one-run losses in that series, including a walk-off in there. You do not want to face the Milwaukee Brewers right now, and they have just one win in their last 12 games due to the New York Metropolitans. They are 6 games back of the Phillies in the NL East. Looks like the Phillies are starting to pull away there, but they are holding on to that final wild card spot, 2 games ahead of the Reds. And the good thing for the Mets here is I just don't see a team behind them that's really all that threatening. I mean, it's the Reds, it's the Cardinals, maybe the Diamondbacks, if they were to get hot, I think are still a good team if that pitching actually ever, comes together like we thought it would, coming into the season. We were talking about trying to trade for one of the Diamondbacks pitchers because they had so many, but that group has been quite awful this year. I just don't see a real threatening team in the NL wild card right now, which really makes me wish the Braves were in the hunt. But hopefully maybe the Reds will get hot. I'd love to see that Reds team in there, and hopefully the Braves can help them get there by taking care of the Mets this week in New York. You look at some of the players for them here lately, Alonso and Soto, they've been hitting well. OPS is in the 800 over the last 2 weeks, but Lindor, Nimmo, and McNeil have all been struggling here as of late, and the pitching finally starting to crumble. It was the big thing coming into the year, why I didn't think the Mets would hold up and why I picked them to finish third in this division behind the Phillies and the Braves, is because I just didn't know that they could do it again with the pitching. And first half of the season, they were making us all look dumb because the pitching looked fantastic once again, but it's starting to crack a little bit here. They're 26th in ERA over the last 15 days. But the Atlanta Braves will face 2 of their better starters in this series. It doesn't look great on paper for the Atlanta Braves. The pitching matchups are Spencer Strider versus Clay Holmes. That's the one matchup that you feel pretty decent about, but then it's Carlos Carrasco versus David Peterson, who's been fantastic for them all year, a 2.98 ERA. And then it's Bryce Elder versus Kodai Senga and his 2.30 ERA. So on paper, doesn't look good. Hopefully the offense that we saw last week, both, beginning that Wednesday and then over through the weekend against the Marlins, hopefully that offense continues in New York, because that's the only way I see them winning this series. But would love to see it. If they, can get things going against the Braves. I don't know if the Mets will finish behind the Braves. That would be quite the comeback for Atlanta here. We're still just trying to catch the Marlins at this point. Maximilian says, Jake, GPT thinks that the Braves go 38-15 the rest of the way to make the playoffs. You think the Braves can make a crazy run if Ronnie, Sell, and Riley come back strong? No, I don't, but I love the attitude. And Jeffrey said there's only 44 games left anyway. So yeah, 44-0 Maximilian is what it's going to have to be. But it would be fun. Like I said, you're playing spoiler here. You got a chance to go up against your rivals, maybe continue them while they're on this bad streak here, take advantage of them, win a series up in New York, sweep a series in New York. Why don't you? Could be a lot of fun. I'm excited to watch this team. We'll see if Ronnie's back. Like I said, I think he could be back this week if the Braves really wanted him to, but no reason to really press him at this point. But we'd love to see him back, obviously sooner rather than later. We'd love to see this offense continue what it was doing over the weekend in Miami, and just a good at-bats that they were having up and down the order, put a lot of stress on those Mets pitchers. Would love to see Strider kind of bounce back. It's been a rough few outings, several outings actually here for Spencer Strider, so want to see him get back on track. I don't have much hope for Carrasco and Elder against Peterson and Senga, but like I said, hopefully the offense can keep them in those games. That will do it for this episode of a Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for joining me here live. Rich in here, Kay, Mass Boost, Jeffrey Humphreys, Maximilian. Appreciate you all joining live. SoCal Braves as well. Thank you so much for the support here of a Locked On Braves. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, leave me a comment down below. Trying to do a better job getting back to you in those comments section there. So I appreciate all the comments that you send in. If you haven't already, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast, and we will talk to you next.